From today we are going to talk about endocrine system physiology. So this is the first session of the endocrine physiology series. From today's session we are going to talk about the chemical messengers and the mechanism of actions of hormones. So the first one is the endocrine system. The chemical messengers, which are the one coordinate the body functions. In the endocrine system, they usually coordinate the body function. This function is achieved by chemical messengers. So they regulate the activities in cell, tissues and organs. And they are achieved through multiple chemical messenger systems. So there are various types of chemical messengers. There are neurotransmitters, endocrine hormones, neuroendocrine hormones, paracrine, autocrine and cytokines. So the neurotransmitters, they are released at synapse, but they act locally on nerve cells. Okay. And they act locally and control nerve cell functions. The endocrine hormones, they are secreted into blood and they act on distant target cells. And the target cells are located in the different site. Okay. So the blood transport the endocrine hormones to their distant target cells. Neuroendocrine hormones, so they are secreted by neurons into blood. They also act distantly. The paracrines one are act on neighboring, but they act on different cell types. Autocrines one are the ones act on same cells that secrete them. And the cytokines, they are peptides. They can act as autocrine, paracrine or endocrine messengers. The examples for cytokines are interleukin, lymphokines. They regulate the immune system. The adipokines, example for leptin, they are secreted from adipose tissue. And the role of it is immune signaling, metabolism and inflammation. These all are cytokines. So the body's chemical messenger. The endocrine system interact with one another to maintain homeostasis, like endocrine neural integration. So the examples are adrenal medulla and pituitary. In the neuroendocrine cells, ADH, oxytocin, these are the examples. Like you have to understand in the endocrine system, there are interactions between multiple systems. The examples are like growth hormone. They stimulate growth throughout the body. And the thyroxine, they increase the metabolic rate in most cells. And the ACTH, but they act especially on adrenal cortex. And the ovarian hormones, they regulate female sex organs and secondary sexual characteristics. So these endocrine systems are carried by the circulatory systems and they carry it through cells throughout the body. And hormones usually affect mainly the specific target tissues because the target tissues have abundant receptors for the hormones. Okay. And these hormones play a specific and a huge role in the homeostasis process. Okay. So when we talk about hormones, there are three types of chemical classes of hormones. They are proteins and polypeptides, steroid and thyroxine derivatives. Okay. For the proteins and polypeptide, the examples are pituitary, pancreas, parathyroid hormones. And the steroid hormones are adrenaline cortex, ovarian hormone, testis and placenta. The thyroxine derivatives, they are thyroid hormones and catecholamines like epinephrine and norepinephrine. The protein and peptide hormone. So they are synthesized as pre-hormones. Okay, what is pre-hormone? So pre-hormone is it is not biologically active. It is the biologically inactive form of the hormone, and they form smaller prohormones, and they are secreted into the endocrine reticulum, endoplasmic reticulum. So these hormones are stored in secretory vesicles until they are needed. Okay. And when they are released via exocytosis. This exocytosis process is stimulated by calcium or CAMP channels. So these peptide hormones are water soluble So they can easily enter into circulatory system and they are carried through to the target tissues. Steroid hormones. They are synthesized from cholesterol and these hormones are not stored. They synthesize only when they are needed. So these steroids ones are lipid soluble so they can diffuse across membranes. The examples are cortisol, aldosterone, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. The amine hormones, they are derived from tyrosine. Thyroid hormone T3, T4, these are stored in thyroglobulin and they are bound to plasma proteins. Catecholamines, epinephrine, norepinephrine, they are stored in vesicles and they are released by exocytosis. The hormone secretion and action. Each hormone have different action and a different action time and a different secretory function. Okay, so some hormones act as rapid hormones. They are epinephrine, norepinephrine. They act only in seconds to minutes time. And there are slow hormones like tyrosine, growth hormone. They take some days to months to act. And the concentration of blood is we measure it by picograms or micrograms. Okay. Regulation of the hormone secretion. So negative feedback. These negative feedback mechanism prevent the overactivity of hormone systems. So the examples are insulin and thyroid hormone secretion. Positive feedback systems in the body are rare and these surges of hormone in positive feedback can occur with when there is a positive feedback the surges of hormone can occur and it amplifies the secretion like LH surge before ovulation. And there are cyclical variations in hormone secretion according to circadian rhythm, sleep cycle and seasonal changes. So the transport of hormones. The water-soluble hormones, they are freely dissolved in plasma. And the steroid and thyroid hormones, they are bound to plasma protein. So they act as a reservoirs. And bound hormones, longer half-life. They usually have hours to days of half-life. So the clearance of hormones. There are two factors that can increase or decrease the concentration of hormones in blood. They are the rate of hormone secretions into blood and the second is the rate of removal of hormones from the blood. Rate of removal means the metabolic clearance rate. So according to this, there are many types of removal of hormones by plasma. They are metabolic destruction in tissues, excretion via liver, bile, and excretion via kidneys, urine. So the example is angiotensin 2. Its half-life less than a minute. And the thyroid hormones, they are bound to proteins and they have a half-life of 1 to 6 days. So now we are going to talk about our second part, endocrine system, mechanism of actions of hormones.